Hi everyone, I'm here today with John Hutton, who is a patron for the Malcolm Whale Foundation. So I'm going to hand over to you first to explain exactly what the foundation is and what you do.
Good morning. My name's John Hutton. First off, I'm the account manager for Greydor Sports, based up here in Leeds. But as Dave said, I'm a patron of the Malcolm Wales Foundation. The Malcolm Wales Foundation is a charity that aims mainly in regard to the cancer sector. It was set up in 2009 in memory of Malcolm Wales. His son, Damien Wales, set up the foundation. Malcolm died at the age of 55 from bowel cancer. Quite quickly, it was diagnosed, and then he only had a few weeks to live, which hit Damien very hard. And I'm sure people would understand that. In honor of and wanted to do something in honor of his father. Malcolm very much enjoyed all sports, outdoor living, long walks, long hikes. Damien, being a school teacher and now headmaster, decided that in setting up the foundation, the charity angle would be around the outdoors. In 2009, the main fundraising area of the charity became the Dorset Walk. And this is the main fundraising angle of the charity as it stands. 3 days of walking the Jurassic Coast between Weymouth and Studland, with camping in between, which I can assure you is not my favourite pastime. Nor Damien's, to be fair. Each year there will be 500 school children around the age of 16, raising over £100,000 in regard to the walk this year. It's something that we're heavily involved with in regard to the volunteering side, and something that I really enjoy.
Okay. So that in terms of how many months does it take to sort of prepare for that?
You're always preparing. You sort of finish one year and it's all straight on to the next. The setup of it is, firstly, from a Grey Doors travel point of view, we're given 2 days volunteering leave per year, which is very generous. So we go down to Dorset on the Wednesday evening. Thursday morning is basically setting up the whole camp. So we have some old army catering tents, the big green canvas, heavy army tents. So we have two of those for the kitchen. So we cook outside for 500 people. We've got all the other marquees for seating, and we have a merchandise tent as well, so participants can purchase charity merchandise. We have a tuck shop. We have showers that come in. We get a refrigerated van donated, which houses all the food for the 4 days. It's a logistical challenge, and there's probably 20 of us on that Thursday morning, plus some early arrival school students, to get the camp ready. Most students are arriving about 3 o'clock on Thursday. We cook for 500 on Thursday night. The most important thing is to get the tents up for the cooking on Thursday.
Yeah. It's quite an operation to get that set
It
up.
is.
It's great that obviously companies support you and someone sort of lends you a truck. In terms of everything else you have to get there, how logistically do you get
And it, and
all
it, it
those
and it
tents?
is at the charity base up in Cambridgeshire. There is a container that holds everything, and these come down in two big vans, all the tents, all the tables, all the cooking equipment, and everything else that goes with it. We also bring some spare tents for some of the students that may have bought a two-man tent for three of them and things like that. So there's a bit of spares for everybody. But there's also spares of things like crockery and cutlery and things like that that some students might have underestimated what they need. So we've always got things on hand to look after people. But it does come down in two big vans, usually a donation from a van rental company that help us from that point
Yeah.
of view. So we're always indebted to these types of things. These are all costs that come that you can take out for the charity. And it's some of these smaller sponsorships, or not just money, that actually make a huge difference in regard to what we can achieve. When all the students arrive, what I love on the Thursday is always there's a bit of a swagger by some of the students going, yeah, we'll take on this 40 miles the Jurassic Coast. Yeah, it'll be fine. And there's a bit of a bravado. There's different schools, so there's always that interesting mix of schools, and a lot of kids will know each other anyway from being in the same city or sport or whatever, to hear some of the banter. So on Thursday, we're going to do this, a bit of a swagger. Come Saturday night, when they've done 2 days of the walk, they're all very quiet. They're all hobbling around camp. They're all wondering how they're going to get through day three. And then you see them sprinting down Studland Beach on Sunday afternoon. That's just one of the most joyous feelings that everyone has, having completed it. It's very easy to say no to a challenge. You have to come out of your comfort zone to do it. And these 500
Yeah.
students are really coming out of their comfort zone because it is a difficult challenge. It's not easy. It's 13 or 14 miles a day of hugely undulating cliff walks. It's stunning, but
Yeah.
it's ridiculously difficult. These guys are, and I always say, punishing themselves to help those worse off than themselves. I take my hat off to every single one of them.
And it's a great representation that they do that, because there's certainly a stigma, isn't there? And everyone, how many times you hear the youth of today aren't like we used to be. They're just sitting in their bedroom. They're just on their computer. It's always they're just this. They're just that. They're just it. But for them to give up their time and suffer, because yeah, I wouldn't enjoy camping. It's not. It's not
No.
my pastime. My brother's the most prepared camper in the world. He's probably got every gadget and thing and turns up, and I'd turn up with a sleeping bag and hope I was going to
Yeah,
survive.
students.
So I'd be there asking you for your spares, but we're about 2 hours in. So no, I have to say, when you told me this when we first met, to get that level of 16-year-olds to get behind something and do it, is that's a hard work,
Yeah,
surely.
and
I suppose testament to how much Damien must be respected.
and they're all schools that have signed into it over the years. So 2009 was the first Dorset Walk. Ely College, Ken Stimpson, Prince William in Oundle have been involved right from the very beginning. More and more schools are now joining in, so it's fantastic to see new schools there. But you're absolutely right. These 16-year-olds are absolutely coming out of their comfort zone. They are challenging themselves. They're also raising money. They're having to get sponsorship to be there. There is a cost for those guys to be able to do it as well. So there's a fee to be able to do it. So there's support that's needed from there. And one of the wrangles that we have, because there is a cost to do it, we've had a donation from a local business to be able to offset some of those costs for maybe some students who couldn't afford to be able to do it. And so there is no barrier for anybody to do it. They want to
That's
do
great,
it.
to be fair.
What we're finding now is some of the schools is oversubscribed. So, people put their names down to be able to do it. And especially Damien's school, where it's almost a rite of passage now to be able to do the to do the Dorset Walk. I think one of the other angles on it that I absolutely adore is that some of the students that did it back in the early days, 2009, 2010, etc., now come. Some of these guys are hitting 30, and there's a couple of guys that will, it's their annual meet up with their mates from school to do the Dorset Walk, 15 years after they did the original. So that's a fantastic angle on it too, and they're continuing to support the foundation. So there's lots of angles. The other piece is that it all started really when our son did the Dorset Walk back in 2016, 2017. We had to cajole him into doing it, but once he'd done it, as soon as he got back, is right, I want to do it again. We knew Damien through Huntingdon Rugby Club, and he sort of asked if we, looking for volunteers to help in regard to logistics. And because our son had done it and was doing it again, we said, well, we're not doing anything. We'll come down and cook some meals and drive vans and minibuses and just help on the logistics. What's brilliant is it's for both my wife and I, and we're both patrons of the charity. So we get to spend doing this together as well. We've got some good
Yeah.
friends that do it with us. Logistically, it is hard work. We do all the food, as I mentioned, but then we also do the lunch stops on each lunchtime. The students walk from about 9 o'clock in the morning. We meet them at lunch with water top ups and big barrels of litres of water, which isn't easy to cart about. In the afternoon, we're making all the sandwiches and everything else for the following day. So they all get a packed lunch before they leave in the morning. So we're doing all that in the afternoon. And then obviously the catering for the evening. There's a band of volunteers that make this fun as well as hard work. I always say is we start camping on the Wednesday, we drive home back to Yorkshire on the Monday. By the end of it, I'm pretty broken, pretty knackered. We've helped phenomenal people raise an awful lot of money, but I get more out of it than I put in. And from my point of view, that's just everything that I wanted to achieve for me personally. I'm there with family, I'm there with friends, and we're watching some fantastic young people work ridiculously hard to raise money for a cancer charity in memory of Malcolm. We always raise a glass to Malcolm on the Saturday evening. We're very grateful in regard to what Damien has achieved for us personally, but what the charity is now achieving, and what it's managing to create. The most recent project is what we call Malcolm's Retreat. It is a chalet on the edge of a fishing lake in Cambridgeshire. It sleeps 6 people, and it is free for respite and well-being care. So it's for families that are suffering from cancer to be able just to get away. It's a working farm as well as a fishing business. It's called Rookery Waters, and it is just stunning. The chalet is on the banks of one of the lakes, and it's for people just to get away. It's new. It started this year. It was built over the last 12 months, again with a number of volunteers offering their time. There's plumbers and heaters and decorators and carpet companies and fencing and air conditioning, and all these things have been created in regard to time. And we've spoken previously about a charity always requesting money. Second in that is time, and these trades have given both time and materials to create Malcolm's Retreat, and it is stunning. Full already for this summer through the year.
I'm not surprised. I'm not.
Yeah, the TMWF website is all the details of it. Yes, it's for those suffering from cancer in regard to the families and the respite care, but it's also for those people that work in that sector. So it is for well-being breaks for nurses that want to just get away for a couple of days, want to be able to just wind down, relax with friends. They work ridiculously hard in some difficult situations, and
Yeah,
to be able to offer them some well-being breaks as well as families getting away from it all for a couple of days is fantastic.
yeah, agreed. The emotional toll that they must go through looking after people suffering with cancer can't be. What they have to do all in a day's work is easy. So it's great that you're considering them as well. I mean, when you told me about this, the retreats, I was like, what a fabulous thing, and the amount of cost and resource that's gone into providing that. Is the plan to expand on that
And this,
over the coming years,
it's an
or?
interesting question. So that Malcolm's Retreat's what have been 2 years in the planning and is a big project for the foundation. And the next question is, what's next? Where do we go now? There could be another one. There's always been a project involved. So we had at Hinchingbrook Hospital in Cambridgeshire, there was an area in the garden outside the oncology ward, which was a bit of a garden, but it was a bit of a scrubland. And the charity did a garden makeover, very much along the lines of what you see on the telly and things like that, garden rescue. And it's now this most beautiful space for attached to the oncology ward where people can walk out into the garden. It's very secluded. It's fantastically well planted. It's been going for 2 or 3 years now, so it's matured. And it's a wonderful space just for those suffering at the hospital just to be able to walk into a garden and sit in some seclusion. And that was quite a big project from that side of things. But the money we raise gets donated to other charities or other causes.
Okay.
So similarly, in regard to the respite care, there's some money that's donated to a fantastic charity called Edgar's Gift, who do a similar respite angle in regard to a caravan out in Norfolk, again for sort of respite care. But we donate to numerous other sort of angles. The Huntingdon Community Cancer Network, there's children's wards, there's wishes. It might be someone suffering cancer and might need an iPad or something along those lines. So there's wishes around those. But there's a whole list of other charities that we support with the fundraising that makes a real big difference to people. It's aimed at more of the children because the money's raised by students, so it's for students, if that makes sense. It's a fantastic legacy for Malcolm in regard to what's been created. It's getting bigger and bigger. With this year's Dorset Walk will be the biggest ever. We're up to 500 people this year, which will be a challenge.
How big do you think you could
We're we're
take that?
we're probably getting to about where we can get to. We've moved this year. We have been at a campsite at Burnbake, but we've outgrown that. So this year we are camping at Swanage and Wareham Rugby Club. We're donating to a rugby club and a community club
Yeah.
rather than perhaps say a business, but that's a nice angle too. They've got 4 or 5 rugby pitches over the summer that aren't being used, so 500 people camping on those. We'll hopefully we'll leave it as we find it, but it's an income generator for the rugby club. But it also gives us access to a full working kitchen as well. One of the issues we always have is logistically is washing up pots and pans for 500 people, and that's usually in cold running water and things like that. So logistically it'll be slightly easier this year, but we're still bringing in additional showers, portable showers, and obviously portable toilets and all those types of things that come with it. We get a big skip in for all the rubbish and everything else, so that comes in. So we very much hope to leave everything as we find it. And in particular, we also very aware that the Southwest Coastal Path is a charity in itself. We will always hopefully leave it is exactly as we find it, so any litter automatically gets picked up, and all those types of things that you would expect people to do is great too. Every day everyone walks in a different coloured t-shirt, and it's fantastic to see a snake of t-shirts walking down the coast, and some of the photographs on the website are fantastic. It looks really spectacular. Then everyone knows who we are. Members of the public will see 400 or 500 people all walking in the same t-shirts but ask what the charity's around. And it's all now about recognition. The most important thing now is pushing some of these smaller charities. We all know the big national charities, but actually awareness of some of the work that the smaller charities are doing is really important these days in regard to what we can do.
Absolutely. And it's a big thing that we've tried to do as a foundation is support the smaller charities. Because as you say, the big national charities get all the media coverage, they get the high profile names attached to them, and they get an endless sea of donations. But what comes with that is they're really big businesses that need senior leadership teams because of the amount of money that's going through that organisation. But comes with that is cost.
Yeah,
We've got charities we support where we know no costs basically go out of the money you've donated. I always give them as an example, and I'm sure Karen will thank me when I see her. We support a charity called Buddy Bag. It costs £25 to make a bag for a child. If you gave them £100, you've paid for four
yeah.
bags because everyone who works at that charity is a volunteer. I went with the episode one was with Promised Dreams. There's only two employees,
Mm.
so you know that they aren't hemorrhaging money with cost. That's about making wishes come true. I mean, synergy between charities that we like. I know one question people have when having watched this is how much roughly does that walk raise?
We're This year it'll be. I mean, if you the very first walk in 2009 raised £6,000, we'll raise over £100,000 this year. The
Wow.
foundation
Okay.
itself will be. We're way over the 600, £700,000 mark in itself. It's kind of limitless in regard to what we can raise because it's sponsorship of students walking, but there's some very generous donations. But £2, £3, £4, as the man from Tesco said, every little helps. It all makes a
Yeah.
difference to these small charities. The guys will work really hard to raise some serious amounts of money over these 4 days. There's a lot of social media that goes with it, so there'll be lots of live stream on Facebook of some of the hard parts of the walk, the travelator, and all sorts of things like this, which is one of the steepest parts of the walk. I think that's day 2, but also the elation of the sprint down Studland Beach when they've all finished. That's a fantastic time. You never know what you're going to get. It could be 40 degrees, it could be pouring with rain. You remember when you're soaking wet. You remember when people are really struggling with the heat. Sometimes can be low cloud and you can't see anything, or there's no view. All sorts that get thrown at you. We get the odd dropout, but very few in regard to students that can't physically go on. There's a lot of cajoling and supporting and making sure that if people are struggling, there's people there that will help them finish because you, you can get through it. Even if it's really hard for the next half an hour, it's one foot in front of the other. Keep your head down. You will get through it. You will make it. It's fantastic when we do get everybody through. There are times when we get sprained ankles or things like that where people have slipped and can't carry on. They know it's going to be a big challenge before they sign up. They're pretty much pre-warned have to face. They're coming out of their comfort zone and they're working really hard to do it. And I take my hat off to them for everyone. Resilience is a word that Damien likes to use. Every year he hears, I can't go on. And every year they do. And every year they get it through. So it's that psychological impact as well. It's exhilarating.
Oh, at 16 years of age, you have to say, hats off
Yeah,
to
yeah.
them. I've done a few endurance ones. I've cycled Land's End to John O'Groats. I've done 3 marathons now, of which my most recent one was definitely the hardest.
Hardest or last?
Unsurprisingly, last, definitely last. Unsurprisingly, being 40 rather than 30 made it a little bit tougher. But it is, most people you speak to who do these challenges will tell you it's more mental
Yeah,
than physical. And lots of people do, and we're talking grown adults here, that a lot of people give in because that mental pain to get through. I'm no physically fitter than those people when I completed. I just had to mentally get through it. And it's the same with those. I definitely wasn't doing these challenges at 16 years of age. And the stereotypical opinion we have of a 16-year-old wouldn't be that they'd be mentally robust enough to get through that. So to do that, the camaraderie, the teamwork, it really is giving a lot to them as
it
well.
is.
It teaches them a lot about life, not just about raising money. So it really is a great thing that you are
Yeah,
doing.
you are absolutely right. To the students, especially when you've got other schools there, it's that social side of things, but it's that resilience, it's that ability to push on, it's that sense of achievement, it's that area of you're helping people worse off than yourself. It encapsulates an awful lot of things, and long may it continue. We absolutely adore volunteering for it. Yes, it's hard work. Yes, we get some support with time from work as well, but I get more out of it than I put in, and I'm pretty broken by the end of it. So yeah, long may it continue.
Yeah, that you mentioning it then again, the volunteering, it brings me back to a point I wanted to say before, but we offer volunteering days and we've done that for at least 3 years, let's say now. And I've not had anyone use a single day. And considering we run a foundation and do a lot for charity, you wouldn't think they'd be afraid to have those days. But people, I think, as you covered earlier, I think charities just want money off
Yeah,
you. Yes, money is important. Every charity needs funding, but my wife started donating her time and going packing bags for Buddy Bag. I know other people that go to food shelters or go to. You can just give up your time, and that means so much to most
yeah,
charities.
you're absolutely right.
I'm sure you could do with additional volunteers around your
Yeah,
walk. I'm
time
sure.
is priceless to a charity, as you say, alongside the money. I'm delighted when people do take the time from work to be able to volunteer. It's offered and to be taken. It's not like, oh yeah, it's there, but we don't really want you to take it. It's there and it's promoted. I think people could take up on it without question. You're absolutely right that some people don't take that opportunity. I would implore anyone that's offered it to do it. Just being able to volunteer gives me a nice, warm, fuzzy feeling. If I can take that nice, warm, fuzzy feeling and it helps me come back the following year and everything else, then from my point of view, that's fantastic. So if it's offered, I'll say to anybody, please take it. So to all your employees, Dave's offering it. Fill your boots.
Yeah,
Simply
I'll
with
be telling you next week I'm short staffed because they're all off.
that.
No, it really is important. And I do get a great buzz out of
Yeah.
being able to do things for charity. I can certainly empathise with what you're saying there. I take a lot of pride out of what we can do and the difference we can make. And I guess that would be my question to yourself, really. We haven't yet supported you as a charity, but if you was to get your second to pitch to a business now of what they could do to help the foundation, what would you be looking for?
I think, I mean, let's go away from money because that's an obvious one. A lot of it is depending on your business. So,
Okay.
like we have with the logistics for the walk, we have a van supplier, we have the refrigerated truck supplier, we have food donated from meat companies. We have numerous things along those lines. So sometimes it's products that actually make a difference to us and will make a difference to other charities too. If you're talking about your buddy bag, what are the products that go with that from a company and things like that? So those are like with Malcolm's Retreat when we were building that, it was those trades and those building suppliers that were able to supply materials and time that make a difference too. So a lot of it will come down to the situation. Money and time will always be a thing. The Malcolm Wales Foundation does other fundraising days. There's a golf charity day. There's students doing 10 hours of sport, so continual sport for 10 hours in a day. Damien wants to see it's in the Cambridgeshire area with the schools that take part in the Dorset Walk, but that could be extended nationally for 10 hours of sport for kids, students, again, similar to the ages that do the walk, but also younger students as well. So there's things like that that we want to grow. Those take schools wanting to get involved. So out to headmasters and PE teachers. Do you want to get involved in 10 hours of sport in a day? And that could be across all sports. I mean, it's football, but it's netball and hockey, indoor
Yeah.
sports, five-a-side and basketball, and all those things that you can do within school PE things. So there's all those types of things as well that can make a difference too. Money and time, obviously, but there's bigger angles to it.
And I guess for you mentioned the golf day, so obviously companies to put
Yeah.
teams in, presumably for that,
And or
or auction prizes and
all
stuff
all
for it.
those types of things. It could be companies, teams of four. It's a great day out. It's usually on a Saturday, so it doesn't impinge too much on work time and things like that. So there's all sorts of other angles that can support a charity. I think it's fantastic that we give. As I say, we get a lot out of it. I also like seeing the end result. So like Malcolm's retreat and what that's now achieved, that will make a real difference for years and years and years to come. If I've given up some time along with my wife and family to be able to do a very small part of the logistics, to be able to raise some of that money to create that's there for a long time, as I say, that's my recompense for sure.
Oh, absolutely. I'm sure I've covered it a little bit today, and I will always say, people like yourselves, like Damien, who have, particularly in Damien's case, where you've took a very sad situation and you've absolutely turned that into something
Mm,
positive. Not only would his father obviously be tremendously proud, but the people that are going to benefit from what he's created and put time into, selfless good deeds. Yes, okay, you'll get some feel good out of it, but there's nothing in it for you. It's all
yeah,
right. Let's put our time into this. Let's organise this. We really, the country sometimes needs to give a bit more recognition for that. We all moan about everyone being heartless today and no one cares and society is broken and with this and with that. But there still are a substantial amount of people like yourselves that really do give their time to make a
yeah,
difference. And in those horrible days, most of us have had a family member touched by cancer. I certainly have, and in those horrible days, you're just putting a smile on a few faces, and that's priceless. If that's a family memory at that retreat,
yeah,
my hats are off to you all. Please do give me the details of the golf day.
yeah.
If I can make it, I will do. But I'll sort you an auction prize for your golf
You're
day
very
as
kind.
well.
The website, the charity is the Malcolm Wales Foundation. It's tmwf.co.uk. All the details are there of the story
Yeah,
behind everything that Damien's achieved in regard to Malcolm. Damien's now got three sons, none of whom Malcolm, sadly. Probably for the first time this year, Damien's youngest is probably about 8 or 9 now. They're going to all finish the walk this year. So for the first time, all Damien's sons will be walking as well and
that's
get
lovely.
round. That's another little milestone for the Wales family from that point of view too. And it's passing on that legacy to Damien's sons too and Malcolm's grandchildren. So that's a nice little angle for this year too. We'll look forward to that.
I really do appreciate your time this morning. It's been great to hear about what you do. I always find these things a little emotional, if I'm
No,
honest,
no,
because you
it's
see how much time and good that it achieved. But I do, yeah, do appreciate you coming on and explaining
no,
it
I
all.
really appreciate it, Dave. Thanks very much indeed.
Cheers.